Hey, my friends out there. How are we all doing? It is Friday. And I want to hang out with y'all, as is usual. Hey, Jerry, see you in the chat there, brother. He said, what film series surprised me? Italian zombie sequels. Well, it was streaming films and series. Chicano, come on. Sorry, Chicano was thinking about coming to the studio. Come on, boy. You want to come in here and hang out? Come on, boy. Okay, or not. But the Italian zombie sequels are definitely surprising, considering they're not necessarily related. Like, they kind of do their own thing, and they do whatever they want. And what are there? They're like 3 different movies that claim to be Zombie 5 or something like that. I mean, I'd have to really crank my brain to recall all of the Italian zombie movies. Joe Scott said, I know it's either a love it or take it movie, but without a doubt, Skinamarink. I was more or less blown away when I watched it. So much done with so very little, and I'm super happy that the director is getting the recognition he deserves. I have to admit, I love Skinamarink. I'm almost like nervous to say it because I know it can be polarizing, and I don't want, I don't really want to be polarizing. I have no real desire to argue these concepts and stuff, but Skinamarink is one of those rare things that I watched the film and I can confidently say very little happened, and also I can very much say I loved it. So that's 100% my opinion on Skinamarink. Very little happens, and I loved it. Loved it. I'm actually excited because Skinamarink has so much grain. It has that fake film grain, which I usually hate. I usually hate when people try to fake film grain for an entire movie. But the grain almost becomes a character. The grain hides things. You're staring into the darkness to figure out what's going on in Skinamarink. So I'm actually very excited because the grain gets all flibbity-gibbet, not to get technical, but it gets all flibbity-gibbet when you watch it via streaming because grain and compression, they don't like each other. So I'm dying to watch Skinamarink on Blu-ray so I can see it on my big screen in the least amount of compression possible and see if maybe I missed anything. That's a movie where my buddy Dave and I were watching Skinamarink, and we were kind of like whatever about it, like making jokes. And then about 20 minutes in, all of a sudden we just were dead silent, just staring at the screen, trying to figure out what was going to happen next. Jerry Roth said, She-Hulk really surprised me in Scare Package to keep it at horror. Scare Package I liked, and I really got a kick out of Scare Package 2 as well. If you haven't watched Scare Package 2, definitely watch it. I think it'll do well for you. I did not see She-Hulk. If you liked She-Hulk, you're the first person I know to like She-Hulk. But man, that's good soda. Joe Scott said, I had a ticket to see Skinamarink on 35mm with the director there, but ended up having to cancel at the last minute. Was it actually going to be shown on 35mm? That blows my mind. Because, I mean, the cost to put it on 35mm would be way more than the budget of the movie. Yeah, no, Gateway Film Center, Skinamarink on 35mm. Wow. Yeah, that blows my mind because I know how expensive it is to print to 35mm. I mean, if they shot that on film, I'd be completely shocked, and now I need to know. I thought I knew how they made it, but maybe I'm wrong because, I mean, shooting on 35mm would be insanely expensive. So now I have to know. Yeah, from what I can find, it was shot on video, but it was printed to 35. That's quite a feat to print a film that was shot digital to 35mm film. It can cost anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 to do that. It might be cheaper now, but it's always been very expensive. Dan York says, Aloha. Hello, my friend. I hope you're feeling better today. I hope that the pain from your surgery has relented and that you are able to hang out and have a little fun talking about nerdy crap with us. Oh man, Joe Scott said, yeah, it was in Columbus too, man. I wish I am mad I missed Skinamarink in the theater at all because I wanted to see it there, but it was like I was so divided because I had Christmas Bloody Christmas to see and I had Terrifier 2 to see in the theater, as well as all the mainstream theatrical releases. I just ran out of time. Jerry Roth says, Ash vs. Evil Dead surprised me, and technically we watched through a Stars app, so it counts. Well, no, I mean, Ash vs. Evil Dead was definitely a streaming series. I liked Ash vs. Evil Dead. I think I'm glad it got 3 seasons. I kind of wish it could have wrapped up a little bit more, but I liked it. Liked it a lot, Ash vs. Evil Dead. I think that Ash vs. Evil Dead, I kind of like what they did with Evil Dead in that they took the jokiness of some of Evil Dead 2 and all of Army of Darkness and threw that into Ash vs. Evil Dead, and then took the unrelenting scariness and kind of ran with that with the Evil Dead remake and Evil Dead Rise. I like that because I like both aspects a lot. I like how scary the original Evil Dead is, but I also really like how silly Army of Darkness is, although I'm much more fond of it being more of a of a scary movie. So I'm definitely, of the Evil Dead movies, Evil Dead 1's my favorite because I find it very creepy. I do find it a little funny, but very creepy. Dan York said, today is better, but I look like Frankenstein. Hey, I mean, well, did you ever hear the story about how Frankenstein joined a bodybuilding competition and then was very sad when he realized he didn't understand the English language as well as he thought? Joe Scott said, I had never seen a single Evil Dead movie before this week. I watched them all and have to say there isn't a single bad movie in the series. Agreed. Agreed, my friend. Agreed. I'm glad you got to enjoy them. I've always been a humongous Evil Dead fan. Mark Smith said, so when are you going to update the people who purchased Slumber Party Massacre sequels? You mean Babysitter Massacre sequels. You haven't delivered anything but excuses like it will upset you guys. Well, we are the ones that paid for the undelivered project. We deserve an answer, or do we have to start contacting Kickstarter? Mark, I am not hiding anything about the Babysitter Massacre sequels. The fact is, the fact is, dead honest, we kept getting thrown off. And I want to deliver something that I love. And part of raising the money on Kickstarter was not having to answer to distributors breathing down my neck and producers breathing down my neck and forcing me to push something through when I'm not happy with it. We lost almost all of our cast because of COVID, because they either moved away, their life situations changed, or they're just not available to make movies anymore. So I'm doing everything I can, but Babysitter Massacre 3, which ironically was shot before 2, and at the time we thought it was only going to be completed about a month or two before part 2, is coming very, very soon. We're currently casting Babysitter Massacre 2, and I am reachable. If you want to get a hold of me, you can contact me publicly on a live stream, that's fine. I'm not embarrassed to talk about the fact that I'm working my ass off to recover from the lockdowns, to recover from all of the money, from almost 2 years of income that I lost because of COVID. There's no unemployment for filmmakers, sorry to say. So, is it coming? Yes. Have I touched the money? No. I touched the money to make part 3, and I've kept everything else in the bank. And this entire time that I have been struggling to survive past the lockdowns and COVID and all of that, which I know it's a few years ago now, it's still, the repercussions are still hitting me. I'm still trying to pay off all the credit card debt I took in order to survive. So the options were work my ass off to get caught up or delve into the money from the Kickstarter, and I refuse. So will the movie come? Yes. When will it come? I'm tired of giving you guys a when and then becoming a liar when things are out of my control. So what I'm doing is I'm going to tell you all when it's coming when we start shooting. That's the way I'm comfortable because I don't want to build up anything. I will not lie to you all. I will not mislead you. If you don't like my excuses, don't listen to them. But the fucking movie's coming. I'm not happy that it's taken this long. Initially, there was a death in the family of one of our lead actors, and that's what made me push it to 2020. Of course, at the time, we thought 2020 I'd have all the time in the world. And obviously, we didn't. It's coming, and you're going to enjoy it. I'm very happy with the new script I wrote. I'm very happy so far with the casting choices, but we're still sorting that out. We're still sorting out some of our locations. Again, we lost some locations. So that's it. I'm not hard to reach. You can Facebook message me. You can email me. You can contact me on Twitter, Instagram, anywhere you want. I'm right here and I'm happy to talk because I'm not hiding anything. So, but I won't lie. I'm frustrated. I'm probably more frustrated than any of you because I have to manage to pay my bills in this business and not... It's just been hard. That's all. And I'm not looking for your sympathy. So if you want to, take the show and suggest that whatever, I don't know. I'm doing everything I can. And I will continue to do everything I can. And that's it. So that's it. There's not a fucking minute that goes by I'm not thinking about it. Paul Springer, late to the party, but hi, Enrique. Hi, Paul. Sorry, I brought things down for a second, but I am happy to see you, Paul. Dan York said, I'm here however I can help, brother. I know it. Don't worry. You're gonna end up on the set of Babysitter Massacre 2, one way or another, young man. Jerry Roth said, oh, we can't talk about streaming shows that surprised me without mentioning The Last Drive-In, which is still amazing after this many seasons, and the Elvira special was really good. Love you, Hen. And as a backer, I know that it will be great once completed. Thank you, Jerry. I really do appreciate the kind words. And no, The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs is probably one of the most surprising turn of events in all of streaming. Really, it probably is, because I never imagined we would have a horror host show with Joe Bob Briggs ever again after he was canceled on Monster Vision. Or, well, at that point it was Joe Bob's Hollywood Movie, or I can't remember what they retitled Monster Vision before they canceled it. But yeah, I never thought we'd have Joe Bob back. And I remember when they said, oh, we're going to do a special Shudder live stream, I was like, what? Okay. And then it just kept going and kept going. And last year when I got to visit the set of The Last Drive-In, I was mind blown because I'm such a massive, massive fan of Joe Bob and The Last Drive-In. So it breaks my heart that I'm not going to be able to go to the Jamboree this year. But what with Chicano's cancer, I can't afford it. I just can't. Like, even as a business expense, even as a marketing cost, even as anything, I just can't justify it. And I really, really wish I could. Bruce Haney said, howdy, in line at the bank, so it's just a quick stop by for me. Well, it's good to see you, Bruce. I hope you're having a great weekend eve. I hope you're heading into a really good weekend. And thank you very much, Joe. Joe just donated $50 to the chemo fund. Thank you very much, Joe. He's helping keep these streams going almost single-handedly. He's definitely the whale of the program when it comes to donations. Thank you, my friend. And he put tithing in the comment. That's what it is. I'm basically like a much more morally friendly Catholic church. Craig Cohen said, hey, Enrique, good afternoon. If there's any vote, I'd say take your time and make the best movie possible. There was no hurry. Thank you. And I agree, although I gotta get it done this year because I can't live under the shadow of this project anymore. I'm tired of it. I only directed one movie other than it, and that was to pay bills. So I got you. Jerry Roth said, can someone explain why Bruce is putting on that ski mask? I'm not sure I know what you mean, but at the same time, that I don't know why that made me laugh out loud. Joe Scott said, forcing Enrique to hang out with us via financial extortion. That is the best way to look at live streaming, without a doubt. Oh, man. But yeah, I to go back to the Last Drive-In point, I never would have imagined that we would be able to watch Joe Bob host movies again, ever. Very happy about that. Every week when he's on, I feel like I'm kind of a teenager again, and it's nice. So. Let's see. Wow. Okay. Dan York said some of the haters should take a listen to the Nick Taylor Horror Show podcast. Though it sucks, this is not uncommon. Well, thank you. Annalise, good to see you. Said, see if you can show your movies at the Neon. The Neon charges way too much. Their projection is not good, in my opinion. I'm actually showing movies at the Baijiu Theater in Germantown, which is a family-owned movie theater. That's where I like to show my movies, at family-owned theaters. We may go back to the Inglewood Cinema soon, but we're really showing lots of stuff at the Baijiu right now in Germantown, Ohio. That is my favorite place to show because it's family-owned, their prices are reasonable, great, lots of seating. I love that place. Let's see. Joe Scott said, considering huge productions were delayed by months to years from COVID, I'm not sure why anyone would be surprised that an indie production wouldn't be suffering too, and undoubtedly more so. Well, you know, I don't want to throw around a bunch of woe is me. It just was a really hard financial time for me. I run my company entirely by myself. And there were periods of time where if we were lucky, we were bringing in $400 a month during COVID. And that's $400 a month for me to operate the business and survive. It was not a fun time. And the echoes are still throughout everything I do. Rob Field said, yay, 2 weeks in a row, go me. You did it, Rob. You made it on time, my man. Oh goodness, Jerry Roth said, oh, Holliston, another great streaming show. Holliston, actually, I'm pretty sure that started out as a regular cable show on FearNet, but I love me some Holliston. I have all the seasons. I have both seasons on Blu-ray. I adore Holliston. And you said also, don't go grocery shopping on edibles. You end up with $200 in snacks. At least I have a show to eat them on. Exactly. Corey Rutson said Inglewood Cinema. We're probably going to go back. I have not become friendly with the newest owners at the Inglewood Cinema. It's changed hands a lot in the last couple of years. But I intend to eventually, introduce myself when I have a project I want to screen there. But right now, the Baijiu has just been so awesome. Rob Field said, I've never been to the Germantown Theater. I look forward to finally seeing it and Scarewaves on the silver screen very soon. Yes, we'll be showing Scarewaves at the Baijiu Theater very soon. I don't have the date directly in front of me, but if you Facebook me, I can send you an invitation if I haven't already. I know, Rob, you're going to be there, and I'm really excited to have you there. The 8th of June. Yes, the 8th of June. Thank you, Joe. As far as the Inglewood Cinema, I always love the Inglewood Cinema. Germantown, at the Baijiu Theater, they have a really awesome element, which is that they are not only family owned and they've been there a long time, but they used to be a playhouse. So it's very nostalgic. It's very old school. The ambiance is awesome. And after the Inglewood Cinema initially closed, that's where I moved all of my premieres, was to the Baijiu. Corey Rutson says, Rutson, sorry if I'm saying it wrong, I'm going to have to make the trip to Germantown. You should, June 8th, it's gonna be a lot of fun. June 8th, and it starts at 7, I wanna say. So it starts kind of early, so you don't have to stay up super late. I'm gonna send you, Corey, an invite, if I haven't already, right now. Okay, it's already been sent to you, my friend. Dan York said, the recommendation was only because Nick interviews a lot of people involved in filmmaking, and many times the real horror story is getting the film made. You ain't kidding. You ain't kidding. There are so many incredibly stressful elements to what I do. You know that saying? I know that I put this in my movie Making Out, but it's completely true, and I want to say it again. You know that saying that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life? Well, it's total, complete, and utter horse crap. The fact is, if you love what you do, you'll work every single day of your life because you won't be able to escape it because you'll have obsession. And trust me, that's true. I'm painfully obsessed with my job. Corey asked, do you miss working in indie wrestling? Absolutely. It just wasn't the right fit for me. When I worked in indie wrestling as a manager, I had a great time. I loved every minute of working the crowd. I loved every minute of just working with the wrestlers, working with the venues. I loved it. But I was paying my dues in wrestling at the same time I was paying my dues in film. And that's just too many dues. You know what I mean? Like, that was a lot to manage. And I just couldn't do both at the same time. I just couldn't. So I stepped away, but I had a great time with it. I loved everything about working in indie wrestling. Joe Scott said, people who say you'll never work a day in your life clearly aren't creatives, because as much as I love writing, God, is it easy to get buried under the work? Oh yeah, and I know that I'm incredibly fortunate that I get to do movies for a living. But if you think that what I'm doing is hanging out and having a laugh every minute, you couldn't be more wrong. Like, sorry, I was reading Keith Tomlin said, yep, that's doo-doo. Sorry, I'm in a weird mood. You're weird. You're a weird guy, and that's why I love you. But no. When it comes to making movies for a living, most of my day is negotiating contracts and dealing with distributors, dealing with producers, dealing with the business end, dealing with taxes, dealing with all of the things that nobody wants to deal with. very little of my actual time is spent making a production. And I'm not mad about that. I love the business I'm in. I love the work I do. But my God, is it exhausting. And, you know, I always like to say a dream job is great, but a dream and a nightmare are in the same goddamn ballpark. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful. And I mean, I'm burnt out. There's no doubt about it. The amount of work I've done in the last 9 years, almost 9 years, June 4th will be 9 years as a full-time filmmaker. And the amount of work I've done is obscene. So I'm tired, but I still love it. Would I like to take a small break? Maybe, after Babysitter 2. But I'm not allowed to do any, that's, Babysitter Massacre 2 is like the curse that's holding my spirit in an amulet. And once I complete that film, my spirit can escape and cross over. Sorry, I'm also just sweating like crazy because it's so hot. I need to just accept that I'm gonna have to run my air conditioner hotter than or colder than I want, and just pay the electric bill on it. I'm such a cheapskate. So Corey asked, what did you do for a day job before making films? I had a few different day jobs. My first day job ever was actually at a production company, a distribution company, but I was the lowest man on the totem pole, and that was in New Jersey. So I did that for about 3 years, and I really learned a lot about the business from that. Then I came back to Ohio and was trying to figure out what I was gonna do. I worked as a corporate mover, you know, just moving heavy things and loading trucks. I actually worked with some really great people and learned a lot of really great habits about how to respect a client's space. To this day, when I'm filming a movie and we go onto a location that's, you know, someone's house or whatever, I still remember all the things I learned as a corporate mover about how to respect space and how to not damage things and how to be, yeah, just respectful. So after that, I worked at a Spencer's Gifts at the Dayton Mall, and I was only there for about 6 or 7 months, but I actually really loved that job. I loved working seasonal because I like Christmas music and Christmas decorations. So I had a really good time there, and I worked with some friends. But then after that, I moved into working in public television and community television. And that job, I enjoyed at first, but I hated my boss. He was such a asshole. I was trying to come up with a better way to say it, but he was such an asshole. He was such a prick. He was so... I don't think he knew. No, there's no way he knew, but he was cruel. He would like take me aside after a long day working and explain to me that my dreams of making movies were not sustainable and it was ignorant to chase them so hard, and that I needed to focus on my job. My job, which was a 30-hour-a-week part-time job with no health insurance, but I needed to never, ever moonlight away from that job. You know why? Because that was steady. Making $10.45 fucking cents an hour. That was steady. Even if they wouldn't work me full time, they made me work 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. Not full time. Hated that fucking job because I hated the management. Pardon my French, but I hated the management. That man had no testicles and no genitals whatsoever. And that was the job that I really disliked. So then I saw Joe Scott saying, hell yeah, Enrique, eat the rich. Don't go crazy, because this was like government funded nonprofit work, which is where I was treated the worst. I've actually been treated better by multinational conglomerates than I ever was by this company, which, by the way, I, instead of quitting, wanted to simply peel back my hours. So what did he do? He made me wait a month to confirm that he would cut my hours back. and then fired me a week later. And that's what, honestly, it's the one thing I have to say I really appreciate from my old boss. Thank you so much for firing me, because you really set me up for success in a way, because I had no choice but to work my ass off as hard as humanly possible to make it all work, or go find something else. And I was so afraid that I would go to another job and find someone just like him, someone who is this little, stupid, puny, genitalless mother hubbard. That's what I was afraid would happen. I was afraid I'd go to another job and find somebody just like him. So I was like, screw this, I'm gonna go out and try to never have a boss again. So, you asked. So that was my last job, and then it'll be 9 years on June 4th, was when I got fired on June 4th, and made the decision after a lot of fear and worry and an entire bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken that I would not attempt to find another job, that I would attempt to do this for a living. And the first 7 or 8 months were really friggin' scary. And in fact, that January, February, I was literally like, maybe I should start filling out applications at the mall. But somehow I turned it around. And I'm very, I wasn't going to talk about the 9-year anniversary yet, because I hadn't organized my thoughts, but I'm so thankful. Even with all the stress, with all the pains in the ass, all the complaints I have, man, I'm so honored to be able to do this all the time, to be creative all the time, even when I'm, playing lawyer, even when I'm negotiating contracts, even when I'm so mad, even when I'm fighting to get paid, even when I'm threatening litigation against distributors. I'm so glad I'm here and not somewhere else. And it's because of you guys who are hanging out with me and chatting with me and telling me how much you love movies, and I'm telling you how much I love movies, and you guys are kind enough to, take a minute out of your day to watch one of my movies, or support something I do, or support me on Patreon, or support watching a movie for free on Tubi. You guys are friggin' awesome. Yep. Yeah. So, Rob Field said, well, congrats, Hen. You actually did it. You made it work for you. Thank you. And every day I'm figuring out how to make it work better, hopefully. Joe Scott said, you could always model mustache wax. I used to use a mustache wax, a different brand than the one I use now. I tried to get them to sponsor me. And by sponsor me, I mean give me free mustache wax, and I would promote it. And they never even replied to my email. Bastards. Jerry Roth, you need to be cool. You need to be cool, my friend. Hey, you be cool too, though. And then Jerry said he had no marbles. And Corey Rutzen said, now Henwolf and Chicano run the ship. Darn tootin'. Henwolf is the office manager, and Chicano is, really, he's just the good boy. Craig Cohen said, Independent Day is coming up. Thank you, and I appreciate that you remember that I call it Independent Day, because it's June 4th, and then, Independence Day is July 4th. So I call June 4th my Independent Day. Joe Scott said, for what it's worth, I remember watching Babysitter Massacre on a whim one night and was immediately blown away by all the heart you put into it. You're a fantastic creative, and I, for one, am proud to have you as a fellow Buckeye. Thank you. Sincerely. You actually choked me up. Thank you very much. Corey Rutzen says, even with all the bullshit, still no dickless boss. Damn right. Instead, the occasional dickless distributor that I've got to threaten legally until they pay me what they owe me. And they do. Mostly. Maurice McKittrick said, I'm always down for a new movie you're involved with. Thank you, Maurice. Your friendship and support mean a lot. And that's the other thing. What I found more than anything, man, this has become the philosophical stream. What I found more than anything is friends and community in all of this. The support otherwise comes secondary. So, and Shonem now for the win, bringing us back to the topic. Shonem said, to the video title, I was surprised by Willow's hard rock music, and then seeing it's being pulled from Disney Plus this morning. Wait, they're pulling the Willow series from Disney Plus? For real? Wow. I was not expecting that. I wonder why. Let's see. You guys are being way too nice. Rob Field says, it was an honor to watch Babysitter Massacre with you twice. Yes! Oh, darn tootin', Rob. Rachel Rodolfi, Rachie, good to see you in the chat, said maybe the real movies were the friends we made along the way. No, it's... Actually, I know you're being funny because I love that joke of like maybe the real blank is the friends we made along the way, but yeah, maybe it was the friends we made were really what's matters. Oh man, I am soft today. Maurice said, I'm proud to be your friend too. Thank you, brother. Nick Click said, we got you. Thank you, Nick. Good to see you, by the way. Joe Scott said, it's okay. I'll be mean to you in person on the 8th to keep you humble. Thank you, because I need it. I will get out of hand. Sorry, I cut to a camera that's not plugged in. I will get out of hand if you're not careful. So, without a doubt, keep me humble. It's important. No. Shonem, you're awesome. Shonem said, yep, a series they own 100% getting ripped off the platform along with some others. I mean, maybe they took Willow off. Did they say why they're doing it? I might look it up. Shonem said, sorry to take the wind out of your sails, though. I came in late. No, you didn't take the wind out of my sails at all. You just brought us back to the topic I originally wanted to talk about, which is, you know, legit. So I'm going to see if I can find out why they took Willow down. Because I'm really curious what that... I'd love to know why. I mean, I'm assuming that they're going to... I saw one thing saying it's to save money, but they already made the show. Maybe they're going to license it out. Maybe they shouldn't have bet all entirely on Disney+. I don't know. Wow. Let me get caught up. You guys are awesome. Joe Scott, that's actually the Dave camera. He's in the dark right now. You're not wrong, actually. That is the camera that would be for Dave when he's in the studio with me, or whoever the guest is. Jeff McClellan said, the Willow series on Disney was horrible and Disney would like to forget about it. Damn. Brutal. And tell us how you really feel, Jeffy. Greg Nichols, hey, Ann, just joined. Good to see you, Grego. Good to see you, brother. Corey says, for the first 4 years of my relationship, my girlfriend had an Awesomeness Achievement Award on our wall. It was signed by you for donating to a film Kickstarter. She thought it was cool I still had a pill bottle from the Depression premiere. Thanks for always making great films. People like you make Dayton great. Thank you, my friend, and thank you for keeping that certificate. Man, I remember making those certificates. Thank you very much. And thanks for keeping the pill bottle, too, because... those Depression pill bottles, I remember making all of those by hand with glue sticks and filling them with candy. Jerry Roth said, if my wife gets her promotion and I'm coming for you in 2024, you, Matt, and Dave, and Rob, and I will not rest until I have your heads on my mantle. Pizza. I mean, I have pizza with you. I would love to hang out with you, Jerry, at a con or something. I really would. Greg said, it's a tax break by taking shows off that don't perform. Well, it's only a tax break if the film is declared a loss, which would mean that it would have to not ever, or the show or film is a loss. So it would have to be either sold at a loss or destroyed. Because if they can ever release it again, then it's not a loss. So I know this very personally because because of making and selling films. You have to be completely divested in order for it to be a loss on your taxes. And to be considered a total loss. Yeah, it would have to be completely divested. Jeff said, they killed Willow 6 months ago and now they are putting it to death. Jeez. Joe Scott said, there is there's this super short series on Shudder called Dead Wax. The episodes are at most 20 minutes a pop, usually significantly less, and honestly, if anyone is a big fan of John Carpenter's Cigarette Burns, definitely watch it. Dude, I love Dead Wax on Shudder. That's a great show. Greg Nichols said at least it was that way for HBO. They spend more money by keeping it on the servers, so move it to an ad-free service. I mean, it really depends on how they're moving things around. The tricky thing with these services that are paid a flat fee like HBO Max or Netflix or Disney Plus is ratings don't really necessarily matter. So it's tricky, very tricky. Shonam says, I think they are just trying to penny pinch on residuals. That could be. Greg said, like Tubi, the new model is move older shows to ad-supported streaming. I mean, Tubi is a phenomenal place to distribute any content. I've made an incredible amount of money on Tubi, and I'm very grateful for Tubi every day. Dan said, my wife says I've lost 4 inches in the waist. Well, surgery will do that to you. Jerry Roth said, my theory is Disney Plus is taking shows off because of the merger with Hulu. Well, Disney's owned a portion of Hulu for a very long time. That's what I was thinking, is maybe they're taking it down so that they could put it on places like Hulu. They probably wouldn't send it to literally Tubi because I don't think they want to do a lot of business with News Corp. But now we're talking very inside baseball film distribution. Let's see. Greg Nichols said, I think this is a different tax break related to operational costs with keeping media on servers. That could be. That I don't know for sure. That very much could be. Let's see. Okay, so the services are merging with Hulu and Disney. Greg Nichols said HBO doesn't own the servers. They use Amazon AWS, which is Amazon servers, or Azure, so they have to pay for those services. Same for Disney. Hulu and Disney Plus into one service by the end of 2025. Okay, or 2024. No, I mean, that could, that makes sense. Let's see. Jeffy shared an article I'll look up. I mean, it makes sense. Server space is not crazy expensive, but there are lots of reasons they could have to move it around. Okay, so this article from The Verge says Disney will remove over 50 shows from Disney Plus and Hulu this month. Heaps of original content, including Willow, Black Beauty, and Y: The Last Man, will be pulled from Disney's streaming service platforms on May 26th. During Disney's Q2 earnings call earlier this month, Disney CEO Bob Iger and Chief Financial Officer Christine McCarthy announced plans to remove some content from its streaming services after revealing Disney Plus had lost 4 million subscribers in the first 3 months of 2023. Quote, we are in the process of reviewing the content on our DTC services to align with the strategic changes in our approach to content curation. That makes sense, said McCarthy on the company's post-earnings call, adding that Disney expects to pay a content impairment charge of $1.5 billion to $1.8 billion for the removals. Huh. Iger has targeted $3 billion in savings for 2023 after spending almost $30 billion on content for the Disney Plus streaming service last year. Disney's decision to purge content follows similar cost-cutting moves by HBO Max and Showtime to avoid paying out for underperforming library titles. Willow, the revival of Ron Howard's 1988 fantasy film of the same name, is a surprise inclusion among the list of shows being removed considering it had only started airing in November. Many series like Willow and The World According to Jeff Goldblum were heavily promoted by Disney. They gave us 6 months, not even, said Willow writer John Bickerstaff on Twitter in response to the news. This business has become absolutely cruel. That's what he said. This wave of content removals follow a rough couple of years for Disney's economic outlook. Yeah, I mean, Disney's doing rough. The following titles are anticipated to be removed from Disney Plus and Hulu on May 26th. Big Shot, Turner and Hooch, The Mysterious Benedict Society, Mighty Ducks Game Changers, Willow, The Making of Willow, Diary of a Future President, Just Beyond, The World According to Jeff Goldblum, Marvel's Project Hero, Marvel's Empower, Marvel's Voices Rising, The Music of Wakanda Forever, Rosaline, Cheaper by the Dozen, the remake, The One and Only Ivan, Stargirl, Artemis Fowl. Wow, this is a long list. I was going to read it all, but I think I'm going to stop. That's a lot. Wow, that's a lot of content they're taking down. Wow, that is a lot of content being taken down from Disney. I mean, I think that they got too big for their britches, kind of like how Netflix has been doing, or was doing, especially a few years back. They were just cranking out content thinking they can't lose. Losing is always an option. David said Disney would save money with the creation of live-action remakes no one's asking for, LOL. Yeah, live-action remakes that almost have no live action in them. Greg Nichols said it's expensive when you get the volume of HBO or Disney, and the real cost is accessing the media. That's what they charge against for ad revenue. So if it's sitting there doing nothing and no one is accessing it, then they make no money. I mean, it makes sense. And that's one of the reasons ad-supported services are great for independents too, is because you only make money when the service is making money. Oh yeah, and I saw this. Jerry mentioned Disney also closed its Star Cruiser hotel experience in Florida and stopped a $1 billion construction site. Yeah, Disney's in trouble. They need to, yeah. Joe Scott said Disney decided to do the gag from Spaceballs, but didn't realize it was satire. That's pretty good. Dan York said, this is why I prefer building my own collection, so I don't have to worry about these streaming platforms removing content I like. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Well, and don't forget, Disney's always pulled this kind of crap. Remember the Disney Vault? Well, this film is ready to go back to the vault for some rest. They like to create scarcity, which I've always had a problem with. And yeah, Greg, everybody's always surprised when I tell them AVOD, advertising video on demand, is the future, which, I mean, now it's the present, really. But they're always like, what? You know, it's like, hey, it's just television, but everything that's old is new again. And I love Tubi. I mean, I love watching stuff on Tubi. Craig Cohen said, wow, the more things get taken down, the more I'm glad I've kept my collection of Blu-rays and DVDs. You can't trust that these things will be available to stream. That's true. Very true. Greg Nichols said the Star Wars hotel was too damn expensive. I would assume so. I think Disney World is too damn expensive. I can't imagine going there and spending that kind of money. Rob Fields, long live physical medium. Dan York said, I hate that vault. Yeah, me too. Greg Nichols said Tubi is awesome. Tubi has been great since I first started distributing stuff to them, and I want to say it was 2019 was when I first had some films on Tubi. It's been really good. Great place to distribute content, get it seen. Obviously, if your content has a strong poster, if it's in a strong genre, it'll make a lot of money. And if it doesn't, then it won't. And I remember everybody thought Tubi was dead because in 2020, Fox, as in Fox News Corp, bought Tubi. And everybody was like, there it is, it's over, whatever. And I remember my first thought was, oh man, now that Fox owns Tubi, maybe they'll actually pay me on time. And that's true. They started always paying on time. That's true. David Donner said Tubi was good till they removed a masterpiece TV series. Of course, referring to Freddy's Nightmares. I don't think that was Tubi's call, though. I think that was Warner Brothers. That sounds like a Warner Brothers decision. Craig Cohen said, that reminds me, I had purchased Boggy Creek, but probably should download it too, unless you're planning a Blu-ray release at some point. Well, I do not own Boggy Creek the series. Boggy Creek the series is owned by Retro Media and Fred Olin Ray. But a little birdie told me that a DVD is coming out. When, I don't know exactly, but I was told a DVD was coming out. So, something to consider. Jerry Roth said, the issue I have is people say physical media is dying, but yet streaming can disappear at any moment, and by not releasing things on physical, they are fulfilling their own prophecy. $5,000 for a family of 4 on Star Cruiser. Jesus. That's a lot. I mean, is physical media dying? I mean, yeah, it's been dying for a long time. Will it ever be completely gone? I don't know. But it's a collector's medium almost exclusively already. And I love physical media, but I'm just saying, I mean, it's a collector's medium. That's why it's becoming so expensive, because it's not a mass market anymore. So the more people buy it, the cheaper it'll be. The less people buy it, the more expensive it'll be. Dan York said, yes, bastards. Joe Scott said, given how Warner acts with IPs, it's definitely a Warner Brothers issue. Well, luckily, Warner's acting a little bit less insane ever since Discovery merged with them, but we'll see. I mean, the entire reason we got Evil Dead Rise in the theaters was because Discovery merged with Warner and was like, no, let's put that in the theater. And they were right on that one. They were wrong on putting House Party in theaters. It didn't really do well, but Evil Dead Rise, it did very well. The problem right now with streaming, in my opinion, is that it's such a new space. If you really think about it, it's still a very new space. It hasn't been around that long. And it's like a lot of these companies that are inventing entire markets of their own, like DoorDash or Uber, or, you know, then there's Netflix and Airbnb. A lot of these companies are not very profitable because they're building an entirely new business. And some of them are getting too big for their britches. I remember 5, 6, 7 years ago when Netflix was, you know, taking out loans to spend $20 billion on content. I was like, that's risky, because you guys should probably become profitable at some point in your existence. It'd be nice. Joe Scott said, speaking of Evil Dead Rise, that bathtub scene. Come on, cinema! You ain't just whistling Dixie, my friend. Dan York said, I only do physical media for purchase. Physical media will never die with me. Hey, I buy tons of physical media. I just run out of shelf space and then I have to sell some so I can keep buying more. Joe, by the way, I just want to mention that I'm going to be reading that book project we were working on together. I'm going to be finally really reading it, not just skimming it. But I'm so far very, very happy with it. But also, I may have a novelization that I want to do later this year, if you're game. So, a movie novelization. Dan York said, I already read that. Jay Bayless said, DoorDash only with sex workers. My $1 million idea. Oh, you mean Boober? Yeah, it's called Boober. Sorry. I'm such a dork. David Denner said, Hen, text me when you guys are thinking of leaving for the lounge. I'm getting ready to go pick up Morg. Well, why don't you guys just go to the lounge? We'll meet you there. It's not like they won't let you in. Sorry, let's see. Joe Scott, I am super game. Love hearing that. Wait till you hear the concept. You'll lose your mind. Oh, Jay Bayless, it's Boober, but it's like Uber. B-U umlaut B-R. Boober. Don't steal that. I'm copywriting that. Right now, I'm trademarking it. David Denner said that's what the plan was, sir. How dare you, David? Rob Field said, I may have to put my box sets somewhere else to make more room for my single titles. Same. Jerry Roth said, just picked up a Back to the Future VHS, not to watch, but to display with my Back to the Future stuff. I mean, that's all of my VHSs are basically for decoration. I mean, I do watch them from occasionally, though. Joe Scott, as Enrique texts the lounge, telling them not to let David in, or telling them to let David in. Yeah, I got that kind of pull, so, you know. Jay Bayless said, don't tell him what about to do, Double D. Don't tell him what you're about to do, Double D. Oh, you know what? Here, Dave, you get an air horn. That's just for you, Dave. So, what a day. I hope you guys are having a good week. I'm having a pretty good week. I've been working, I think I worked 2 14-hour days back to back. So, I'm a little tired, but I'm in a good mood because I got a lot done and there's so much more to do. There's always so much to do, my friends. But I think I'm going to call it a day on the stream. I'm getting a little tired and I need to perk up for this cigar event that I'm going to, which is that's like my zen, is the cigar lounge and hanging out and having a good time. So I'm going to head out, but thank you all so much for hanging out and watching the stream with me. Thank you so much to Joe for the tip. I do appreciate it. If you enjoy these live streams and want to see them every single Friday, consider leaving a tip. There's a link in the description of the show, whether you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook. I really do appreciate any amount and a tip, and it goes directly to Chicano's chemotherapy fund. And yeah, just thank you guys for hanging out and being sweethearts. You guys are great. You guys actually got me choked up and made me almost cry a little bit with your kind words. It really does mean the world to me. So Joe Scott said, have a good weekend. Rob Field said, have a good one, N-Man. Craig Cohen said, have a nice weekend, Enrique. You guys have the best weekend possible. Love you all. You're great. I love hanging out with you all. It's the best. Maurice said, have a good evening. Enjoy your Stogie event. You know what? I think I will. David Denoyer said, I ain't saying kind words. Yeah. Anyway, you all be well. I appreciate you. And appreciate yourselves. God damn it.